Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your host from Columbus, Ohio, is Michael Kirk. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Supershow. Top story this week: Palace Pandemonium 5, a creative competitor tournament this past Saturday, yesterday as I'm recording this, August 17th, in Powell, Ohio, just outside of Columbus, a suburb of Columbus. I was there. Let me give you the details. We ended up having 32 players in the tournament, which was a good turnout. This includes a number of new players. Some of them I know were from the Canton area. I'm not sure where all the new players were, but we had quite a few new players. I'd say around a quarter of the players in the tournament were relatively new Super Show players. So very happy to see that. 32 players. We do 5 rounds of Swiss. 5 rounds of Swiss, 30 to 45 minutes per round. And we were pretty close to that. I think only one time that I'm aware of did they ever raise the crowd meter on somebody because they'd gone past the time limit. But pretty much all of the matches wrapped up in about 30 minutes. So Swiss round portion went through very quickly. We had one undefeated player come out of the Swiss rounds. I was that undefeated player. Very happy to go 5-0. And then we cut to a top 16. Let me run down the matches in the top 16. The first matchup saw myself, Michael Kirk, playing as Theo the Greek Neo, take on Sierra Flores Simon, playing as her own character, Sherry Von Danish. All of the matches in the tournament, with the exception of the finals, were standard singles matches, no stipulations. I won that match in the top 16. The next match was Phil Birch playing as the Phil Birch versus one of the newer players, Eric Brand, playing as Mothman. The Phil Birch won that match. Then we had Matt Nealon playing as the original Colt Cabana versus Bobby Ohio playing as himself. Matt Nealon won. Chris Pate playing as Evie Laveau versus Scott Meister playing as his creation, Captain Rust Belt. Chris Pate won there. We have John Mathis playing as The End versus Rebecca playing as Kaylee Sweet Pea Perry. John Mathis wins that. Sean Loeb playing as the original Matt Stevens versus Greg Shockley playing as Scott Prime. Greg Shockley wins there. James Booker playing as Trent versus another new player, Mitch Frank. Mitch Frank was playing as Terror Skull. James Booker wins there. And then the final match of the top 16, Doug Smith playing as Mac Attack versus the last new player in the top 16. Devin Klanos playing as Merlin Von Berlin, with Doug Smith winning. So, we get to the quarterfinals. It's Michael Kirk versus the Phil Birch, Matt Nealon versus Chris Pate, John Mathis versus Greg Shockley, and James Booker versus Doug Smith. Michael Kirk, I win. Chris Pate wins, Greg Shockley wins, and James Booker wins. So, semifinals. I'll start with the semifinal match I wasn't in. Greg Shockley playing as Scott Prime versus James Booker playing as Trent. This was a relatively short match. Again, I couldn't pay a ton of attention to it because I was in the other semifinal match. It does not go past crowd meter 0. The winner, moving on to the finals, James Booker. In the other match, I'm playing as Theo the Greek Neo. Chris Pate is playing as Evie Laveau. It goes to crowd meter 1. It comes down to one turn roll. Each player, if they win the turn roll, gets to hit a finish. The finish will hit. They'll get to play a finish. The finish will hit and potentially win. Unfortunately for me, Chris Pate wins that turn roll, hits the finish, rolls an 11, and he goes on to the finals. So Chris Pate versus James Booker in the finals. I had been undefeated until that point. I was hoping to get to the finals, win. It would be nice to win a big tournament. As many of you may also be aware, I'm not currently allowed to fully participate in Supershow the Game. I'm limited in the things I'm allowed to take part in. I've been limited for over 4 years at this point. I keep hoping if I win enough, maybe they will allow me to fully participate again in Supershow. So this really was something I was hoping to get. Unfortunately, I did not get it, so I'm back to square one. But I'll keep trying, and hopefully someday I'll be back to being, a full Supershow player with the ability to participate in all aspects of the game just like everybody else. But we get to the finals. Chris Pate versus James Booker. Evie Laveau versus Trent. Main event stipulation match. The match ends up going to the maximum crowd meter 5. Now, before the match, the two players agreed to split the prize if Steve Resk will let them. Meaning, instead of creating a new competitor, each of them will get to create 2 new Super Show cards. Not a big fan of that, but that's what they decided to do. So, there was no prize on the line. It was just simply whoever wins gets another win. I believe if James Booker wins, this is his 5th win. If Chris Pate wins, I believe it's at least his 3rd. I know he won the original Pixel Palace. I believe he also won Rumble at the Refuge. There may be some others I forgot. But goes to crowd meter 5. We have one breakout at crowd meter 5. James Booker hits the finish. Chris Pate can only break out if he rolls his highest skill. I believe it's his highest printer, but his highest skill. He didn't have 2 10s, which he did. So it would have gone to crowd meter 6 if possible. But the match continues. And at crowd meter 5, the winner, hitting his submission finish, I believe, Chris Pate. Congratulations to Chris Pate for winning Pixel Palace Pandemonium 5, becoming the only 2-time Pixel Palace Pandemonium winner. There was also supposed to be one featured match at Pixel Palace Pandemonium. Chris Pate was going to be defending the LFF Hardcore Championship against Bobby Ohio, unfortunately, because he made it all the way to the finals, and essentially we ran till the store closed and they stayed open for us to finish the finals. That match will be postponed. It'll happen at some point in the future. So no featured matches at Pixel Palace Pandemonium because the champion just did not have time to defend. As far as products go, there were 3 Pixel Palace Pandemonium promo cards. The most notable would be a new card at 15. I want to say it's called The End is Near. I could be wrong on that. It's a stop where if your submission skill is higher than your opponent's submission skill, you can stop any follow-up or finish strike. When you stop a card, the stopped card has blank text until the end of the turn. It's essentially the freeze don't move line, but now moving into the 13 through 15 stops. So that's a big one. They showed these on the last episode of Talk of the Universe, so if you want to see what they look like, I would check out that last episode. We had a number of new mystery boxes and payoff packs, which had new cards in them. I saw the new version of the Italian Bambata. I'm not sure what it's called. I saw a new version of Eddie Fury. So some good new releases in that product. The next big Creative Competitor tournament is going to be at Miso's Game Room and Collectibles, Miso Mania 2, Louisville, Kentucky. That's September 28th. So a little over a month from now. And then, of course, we have Dragon Con Labor Day weekend. Now, I checked earlier before the show started. There are no Super Show events currently listed for Dragon Con. I imagine that will change. In the past, they've had World Championship tournaments, tag team tournaments, draft events. I would expect similar things this year. They haven't talked about any releases or con exclusives. I would expect con-exclusive daily promos. They often do those at conventions, but again, nothing's been announced yet. That should be in 2 weeks from now as I'm recording this. Kickstarter news. The current Super Lucha Kickstarter campaign, Super Show plus Mucha Lucha equals Super Lucha, it's a game of dice, has 4 days left in the campaign. The campaign will end 9 a.m. Eastern, Friday, August 23rd. So you have until Friday morning. So Thursday night, probably safer to make any additional pledges. Currently, there are $57,602 pledged from 445 backers. This means we've reached the first two funding goals. We've unlocked the Hex competitor set. We've unlocked the Aerial Lipstick and Scrappers competitor set. This is a singles competitor set. Additionally, there are also, currently as I'm recording this, 527 comments on Kickstarter, meaning we have unlocked the promo card, A Room Full of Rocking Chairs. I do not know if we will reach the next funding goal. The next funding goal is at $70,000. That will unlock Sister Sledgehammer. At $85,000, Rosa will be unlocked. And at $100,000, Baby Chaos will be unlocked. I do not expect the last two to be unlocked. Very outside possibility that Sister Sledgehammer is unlocked. I don't see that really happening either, but it could. Currently, as far as pledge tiers remaining, of course, the one copy of Super Lucha tier, the $39 tier is unlimited. The $59 tier, the Super Lucha plus Matt and extra competitor tier, that's still available. Of the limited created content tiers, people are still able to pledge at those tiers. At the Create a Super Lucha card tier, $199, there are 10 spots left. At the Create a Super Lucha Luchador Wave 2 tier, there are still 8 spots left. The card tier is $199. The Luchador tier is $899. Both of those tiers come with everything in the $59 tier. Plus, with the cards, you can create a card, a 1 through 27 card. I imagine the number you can create is on a first come, first served basis. And then with the Super Lucha Luchador tier, you just create it. You get the chance to create it. You'll be in a line based on your backer number. The lower your backer number, the earlier you backed, the sooner you get to work with Steve and Eddie Mort, the creator of Mucha Lucha, to design your competitor. There has been one pledge tier added. This is the retail package pledge tier. It's for retail stores only. If you pledge this tier, the tier must be shipped. The product must be shipped to a retail location. So this is not for individuals. This is for stores. It comes with 6 copies of Super Lucha the Game. It comes with 6 El Super Hombre competitor sets, 6 solo mode sets, 3 play mats, 1 Super Lucha title belt card, and presumably all of the unlocked stretch goals. It comes with all of that. It also looks like, as I'm reading this, it would come with 6 MOFA competitor sets. Currently, those are only available as add-ons for the other tiers, but it looks like it's included in the retail package tier. There's also an add-on tier for additional retail packages, $260 for that tier. So if you wanted to get multiple retail package pledges, the first one is $239. Each additional is $260. So $21 more for additional retail packages. That's where the campaign currently sits, $57,602 pledged from 445 backers. If another $12,400 approximately is pledged, it'll unlock the next funding goal. If there are 55 more backers, it will unlock the final community goal, which is the creation of a Super Lucha championship belt, a physical belt, to join the divisions like the World Championship, Underworld, LFF Tag Team, so on and so forth. Supershow Olympics update. We're in the semifinal round. Going from memory, it's Drew Madsen's team versus John Polverino's team, and the Grumps team versus James Booker's team. I have the results for one of these two matchups. In a very close matchup, 7-6, 7 points for the winning team, 6 for the losing team, Drew Madsen's team has prevailed over John Polverino's team. So Drew Madsen's team will be going to the finals of the 2024 Supershow Olympics. Congratulations to Drew Madsen's team. I don't have the results for the other team yet. Hopefully I'll have those for next week's show. CCC News. No updates, except that from the last episode of Talk of the Universe, they're talking about trying to have some kind of tag team round with 10 players, with 5 tag teams. I would recommend against this. In general, the tag team round is a horrible experience for everybody involved. I would scrap it. Trying to somehow work with 10 people, I think, is more difficult. I think there may also be logistical issues this year with trying to make it work with the competitors, particularly the WWX competitors. So, in my opinion, they should come up with some other match format for the next round. We'll see, though, what they do. That's all the news I have on that. I have a little news about the Kempo Kenny Birdcage series. Of course, the 6 matches have wrapped up. We're looking to set up the final Birdcage match. They're working it out, but they're looking at the following dates: August 25th, September 8th, or August 18th. Now, I have not heard or seen anything about the match happening today. I'm recording this on the 18th. So that date looks doubtful to me. As a reminder, the 6 competitors in the final Birdcage match will be Eddie Fury playing as himself, Chugonomics playing as himself, Chris Pate playing as the Phenomenal One, Kempo Kenny playing as himself, the Big Guy playing as High Roller, and the Nightmare King playing as Piglet. So look for that happening sometime in the next 3 weeks. Project Spider update. In 2 weeks, on September 1st, there's going to be a special program Sunday. I'm assuming it'll be streamed twitch.tv/srguniverse, where General Manager John Calais will get together with the Project Spider Committee, Bob Dunn, the Grump Danny Thunder, Johnny Correa, John Polverino, and Drew Madsen, and they'll talk about essentially the new update for Project Spider. Who's going to be in the World Division, who's going to be in the Underworld Division, Triad Division, United States Division, so on and so forth. Additionally, on this program, they will talk about Faction Wars 6. They'll go through the details of Faction Wars 6, how many people can be on a team, how to register your team, when the draft's going to be, what the format of the draft will be, so on and so forth. That's happening September 1st. SRG1 Climax Update. This is a tournament being run by Ian Chambers, the general manager of the Global Division. I believe the winner of this will get a shot at the Global Championship. They have advanced to the top 20. The top 20 have been divided up into 2 blocks. 10 players in the first block, 10 players in the second. Each player will play the other 9 in their block. They have until September 8th, which is a Sunday, to play their 9 games. The top 3 will advance into the top cut. The top seed of each block will get a bye into the top 4, into the semifinals. The second and third place per block will play off for the other semifinal match spots. So it'll go from a top 6 to a top 4. Here are the top 20 players in A block. We have Shane Strickland, the Big Guy, Brian Wait For It Schmidt, Zach Ashley, Trey Cantrell, Jokerfish, Sean Loeb, the People's Casual Thieves Pinkney, Nick Nimble, and Steven Overlock. In B block, we have The End, John Mathis, Hold the Line Harry, Steel Wool, Jim Bias, Alec Ventresca, Candyman Dan, Eddie Fury, Pride, the Italian Bombata, and Drew Madsen. Sean Loeb, Trey Cantrell, and Alec Ventresca went undefeated in the previous stages, and they were given a general manager's favor. they can add a stipulation to one match of their choosing in the block, except for Sean Loeb versus Trey Cantrell. That's the only time two undefeated players would play each other in a block. The stipulation they choose can't have a special finish and should be similar to Liger's Den, Beast Unchained, or Psycho Rules / Psycho Circus. So no steel cage, no lumberjack, nothing with a special finish. I have one championship match announcement. August 30th, as part of Candy Shop Talk, streamed on twitch.tv/Big Picture Premium, there's going to be a belt versus belt, championship versus championship match. The Wolf Guardian, the American Interstellar Hardcore 23/7 champion, versus Eddie Fury, the Tea Time champion. The winner walks out with both championships. That's coming up August 30th. I don't know if there will be a stipulation in that match. I did not see one with the announcement. If they announce one later, I'll report on that when I get that information. There's been a game ruling. They talked about this during the last episode of Talk of the Universe that I want to bring up. In Super Show, when you win the turn, you draw for winning, and then you take your turn. You can do primarily two things on your turn: play a card or pass your turn. If you pass your turn, after your turn is ended, you then will bury a card. A situation came up at Rip and Ship Monday night between two players where one player passed their turn, the other player, after the first player passed, before that player buries for passing, revealed the spectacle, throws cornbread from the crowd, buried cards in that player's discard pile. After that, the original player that passed wanted to undo passing and play a card during their turn. That is not allowed. Once you have made the decision to pass your turn, you are locked into passing your turn. You cannot pass your turn, see what your opponent's response to you passing your turn will be, and then decide if you're going to change your mind. The same way you can't play a card during your turn, see what your opponent's response is to you playing a card, and then decide to pass instead. To me, this is completely consistent. I'm actually shocked there was even a question that you could do this, but it's defined. Once you have chosen to take an action, you are tied into taking that action unless something happens to where you can no longer do that. For example, if I attempt to play a card on my turn, my opponent reveals, advised from the sidelines, says I can't play a card of that move type, I'm allowed to change my mind about playing a card, period. If I go to play a card, my opponent reveals the spectacle, interferes. That spectacle would require me to randomly bury two cards in my hand, including the card I attempted to play. So if that card ends up getting randomly buried, of course, since I can't play it anymore, I'm allowed to change my mind on the decision, including passing altogether. I could pass instead of playing a card. So you are locked into a decision when you make it, unless something happens to where you can no longer perform that decision. That is the ruling going forward. To 100% agree with this ruling. Shocked it even had to be asked. Let's talk about the online tournaments and featured matches from this past week. Monday, we have Monday Night Fights. 16 players. Group stages. 4 groups, 4 players per group. Top 2 records per group advance to the top cut. Open division tournament, no stipulations. Your top 4 end up being, in 4th place, Coach Brad playing as the Heartache Kid. In 3rd place, Elder Dan playing as the original version of the SRG boss. In 2nd place, Drew Madsen playing as Mothman, and the winner Monday night playing as Elder Dan, so Elder Dan being 1st and 3rd, Bob Dunn. Congratulations to Bob Dunn for winning Monday Night Fights. Tuesday, the Ace Championship is on the line. The Ace Championship, part of the Cringe division created by the Wolf Guardian. The challenger, Ken Fouché, playing as the Grim Librarian. The champion, Drew Madsen, playing as Mimic. Ace Championship matches are conducted under Ace Championship rules. Each turn roll counts for 3 turns. So at the start of the match, the players roll off. The winner gets the first turn. The loser gets the second turn. The winner gets the third turn. So you only roll for turn roll every 3 turns. The person who wins the roll gets 2 of the next 3 turns. The Ace Championship. The belt gives the champion +1 to their lowest skill, +2 to their first turn roll, and whenever they roll their highest skill for turn roll, they draw a card. That's the Ace Championship. This match lasted around 20 minutes, goes to Crowd Meter 1. The winner at Crowd Meter 1, still champion, Drew Madsen. Congratulations to Drew Madsen for a successful defense. Thursday, we have Chibi's Thursday Night Fights. 19 players in the tournament. 3 groups of 5 players, 1 group of 4. Top 2 records per group advance to the top cut. So 8 players make the top cut. In the quarterfinal round, all of the matches are New York rules matches. In the semifinal round, they're all steel cage matches. The finals match is a Ring of Fire match. Your semifinalists were the GOAT Brock Smith, playing as the new version of the GOAT, the once-in-a-generation generational talent version, and the Wolf Guardian playing as Cyclone. The finalists were Chris Pate, playing as the 10th anniversary edition of Snake Pit, and El Hombre Cybernetico, playing as King Brian Cage, with the winner, Chris Pate. Congratulations to Chris Pate for winning Chibi's Thursday Night Fights. Friday, there's a pop-up tournament. The top 96 competitors are booked, so no World Division, no Underworld Division, and there are no stipulations in the tournament. I don't know how many people played or the structure, but I can tell you the top 4 in the tournament were: in 4th place, playing as Eddie Fury himself. In 3rd place, playing as the consigliere to the SRG boss, Brian Schmidt. In 2nd place, playing as the new version of Uncle Awesome, Zach Atchley, and the winner, playing as Candice LeRae, the Wolf Guardian, Casey Ryan. Congratulations to the Wolf Guardian for winning the Friday night pop-up tournament. Saturday, of course, I talked about Pixel Palace Pandemonium 5. I have one locals report from Saturday. RRCW hosted Summer Beatings. There was a 9-player tournament. I don't know what the format of the tournament was. I can tell you that there was a cut to a top 4. The players that did not make the top 4 were, in 9th place, playing as Evilise, Matthew Bodie, or Bobby, I think is how it is. I still need to find out how that's pronounced. In 8th place, Faith Velasquez, playing as Hiroshi Tanahashi. In 7th place, Brian Ogozelic, playing as Baby Brick. In 6th place, Corey Potter, playing as Corrugated Cardboard Villain. And in 5th place, the Flame Fighter, playing as the Flame Fighter. The top 4 were Tyler Sickles, playing as Merlin Von Berlin. The Meeple, Craig Brett, playing as the Meeples Champion. Aaron Livingston, playing as AJ Styles. And returning in a surprise return post-heart surgery, Kirby Van Vliet, I'm not 100% sure how that's pronounced. He was playing as the new version of X-Royce. Tyler Sickles and the Meeple face off in a no disqualification match. Aaron Livingston and Kirby face off in a steel cage match. The winners of those matches are the Meeple and Kirby. So the Meeple and Kirby will face off in this match. This match also had championship implications. The Meeple was the current champion, set to defend that championship later that day. If he won the tournament and then successfully defended, he would get to choose his next contender. However, if he loses the championship match and Aaron Livingston, his challenger that day, if Aaron Livingston becomes the new champion and he wins the tournament, he gets to become the new number one contender. The winner of the tournament finals was the Meeple. Kirby, I guess, still shaking off the ring rust, but went really far. Congratulations to him for making the finals. But the Meeple wins. So, the Meeple will either get to call out his next contender if he successfully defends, or he gets the first crack if he's no longer champion. There were 2 featured matches after the tournament. The RRCW Multiversal Championship and the RRCW Championship. In the Multiversal Championship, we had challenger Aaron Livingston playing as Zen Garden versus champion Tyler Sickles as Star Destroyers. So a Tornado Tag Team match. Reminder, the Multiversal Championship can be defended either in a Tornado Tag Team or a Trios match. When someone becomes champion, they either become champion with a Tornado Tag Team or a Trio. Whichever one they did not win the championship with, they declare what they're defending with. So if you won with a Tornado Tag, that's the Tornado Tag you defend with, and then you say, here's the Trio I'll be defending with if we defend in Trios. The winner of the RCW Multiversal Championship match, still champion Tyler Sickles. Congratulations to Tyler Sickles for a successful defense. The other championship match, the RRCW Championship match, saw challenger Aaron Livingston playing as AJ Styles take on champion, RRCW champion, the Meeple, playing as the Meeple's champion. The Meeple was also the Undercore champion. So let me talk about that briefly. The Undercore Championship is a championship that's defended in every single match you play in during the event. So the champion starting the day was Brian Ogozelic. Every match he was in the tournament, he had to defend the belt. When he lost, that person defended the belt. So he starts off champion. He loses to the Meeple. The Meeple then loses to Aaron Livingston. And then she loses to Tyler Sickles. That's all before the cut. In the top cut, because Tyler Sickles makes the top cut, he defends it, or attempts to defend it against the Meeple. The Meeple defeats him to become champion, and since the Meeple wins the tournament, he walks out of the tournament as champion. So now in his championship match for the RRCW Championship, he's also defending the Undercore Championship. Because he's defending the Undercore Championship, that makes this a no disqualification match. This match ends up going to Crowd Meter 3. The winner at Crowd Meter 3, new RRCW and new Undercore champion, Aaron Livingston. Congratulations to Aaron Livingston for becoming a 2-time RRCW champion. Her first defense will be against the Meeple because he won the tournament played earlier in the day. She'll defend at their next big event, date and time to be announced. That's what I have for you on my locals reports. I've also been asked to mention that RRCW's first Create a Competitor tournament, Back Alley Beatdown, will be happening Saturday, November 16th at Reliquary Games in Chesterton, Indiana. Doors open at noon, bell time 1 p.m. Central Time. Sunday, the match that I mentioned earlier, the final birdcage match where the 6 previous winners face off, actually ended up happening while I was recording the show earlier. I did not realize that was the case, but they ended up having it. Kind of a surprise to me. So, we have, in this match, the Nightmare King's Piglet, the Big Guy's High Roller, Kempo Kenny as himself, Chris Pate as the Phenomenal One, Eddie Fury as himself, and Chugonomics as Chugonomics. I believe that was the order they entered, but I'm not 100% on that. The order of elimination is as follows. The first player out, Kempo Kenny, eliminated by Eddie Fury. Then Piglet is eliminated by Chugonomics, followed by Eddie Fury eliminated by the big guy, and then Chris Pate eliminated by Chugonomics. So it comes down to, if the order of entry is correct, if I'm reading it right, one of the first people in, the big guy, and the last man in, Chugonomics, with the winner, the big guy. The big guy goes the distance and wins the entire Birdcage series presented by Kempo Kenny. Congratulations to the big guy for winning the series. This brings us to Sunday night fights. Only 2 matches on the match card, both featuring Ron Rumble. The opening match of the match card was a match for the Play True Championship. The challenger, Brian Wait For It Schmidt, playing as his own competitor. The champion, Mr. Rumble, Ron Rumble, playing as Shield Mate. Standard singles match. It goes to crowd meter 3. The winner, still champion, Mr. Rumble. Congratulations to Mr. Rumble for a successful defense. Now, I need to mention this here. There's a bit of controversy. At crowd meter 3, Ron Rumble, with no cards in play, plays Burning Blade. This is a class requirement card from the Ikuzo series, from Ikuzo Supershow. Class requirement cards require you to have 2 skills. In this case, he had to have a 10 grapple and a 9 power, otherwise the card's considered blank. Shield Maiden has those as her printed stats, so it's good to play in his deck. The text of Burning Blade, it's a lead grapple at number 26. Stop any submission, draw 1 card. This card is also a follow-up. To my recollection, when Ron Rumble played this, he had no leads in play. Meaning, because of Schmidt's gimmick, your opponent cannot play a follow-up or finish without a lead in play. He could not have played Burning Blade because as a follow-up, it can't be played unless there's a lead already in play. When Ron Rumble eventually hit the finish at crowd meter 3, while he had played another lead, he did not have another follow-up in play. The only follow-up in play was a card that he should not have been able to play when he played it. Now, as far as I understand, the bell has rung. The referee didn't call it, so the decision stands. But if Schmidt wants to argue for a rematch because a card was played against him that should not have been played, I think he has a good case to make that he should get another shot at the Play True Championship. But Ron Rumble, on the book, successfully defends. Congratulations to Ron Rumble. The main event of Sunday Night Fights was a trios qualifier match. This is a match to be in the Birdcage match for the LFF Trios Championship, currently held by the Grump Danny Thunder. We've had 2 of these matches already. Practice Site Jeremy Steigerwald won the first. The prize fighter Simon Dabner won the second. The third and final qualifying match is between Ron Rumble, playing as the Family, and Nick Nimble, playing as the Ultra Cosmic Crusaders. This match, not as long as the previous one, only goes to crowd meter 1. The winner, going 2 for 2 on the night, Ron Rumble. Congratulations to Ron Rumble for making the Trios Birdcage match. He joins, as I just mentioned, the prize fighter Simon Dabner, Jeremy Steigerwald, Simple Chuck, and the Grump in the match. There's a mystery opponent still to be revealed. We know that Simple Chuck will be the first man in the Birdcage, the prize fighter will be the second, the Grump will be the final entrant. We did not know what competitor Simple Chuck would be using. The 3 gentlemen who qualified through the qualifier matches, they're using the competitors they won with. The Grump is playing as the higher class. That's the competitor he's champion with. Simple Chuck sent 3 options to the general manager of the division, the Italian Bambata. The Italian Bambata asked other people in the match for a single option, and then he chose options, put them all on a wheel, and after the trios qualifying match tonight, August 18th, they chose the competitor Simple Chuck will be using. Simple Chuck will be using a competitor created by yours truly, Ursus the Wrestling Bear. Ursus the Wrestling Bear getting a shot to become the new Trios champion. I love to see that. Huge supporter of Ursus the Wrestling Bear. Very happy to see that. That was Sunday Night Fights. We had some other news come out. First, in the 6-stop tag team tournament, we have reached the finals for at least one side of the bracket. Big Money has punched their ticket. They will be in the finals of the 6-stop tag team tournament. We're waiting to see who their opponents will be, but congratulations to Big Money for making the finals. We've also had the 2 matches for Ignite announced. Ignite, a show on the Big Picture Premium Twitch channel. They're going to have 2 matches on the card. The first for the AC Online Championship, as challenger Ron Rumble takes on champion El Hombre Cybernetico. After that match, we will see the Dude, Sean Steiner, take on the New York Phenom, Jason Fosson. That's what's happening with Ignite. 2 other things I meant to mention earlier and didn't. For Chibi's Thursday Night Fights, it was an Underworld Division event. And for the RRCW tournament, the finals was a main event stipulation match. I missed those earlier. I wanted to get those on the record before the show ended. For next week, as far as online events go, there is currently nothing listed on SupershowTheGame.com, but I expect to see some sort of Monday Night Fights. I expect to see Chibi's Thursday Night Fights. And there should be Dojo Tuesday, twitch.tv/SRGuniverse. With that being said, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Outlaw Mudcast. I would like to thank all of you for listening, and good day.